Hi, welcome to CastAndLoose Living Room. I'm Lynne Marie Rosenberg. I am here today with Fernando Gonzalez. Hi, Fernando.
Hello.
Fernando is an actor who you might know from New Saloon's minor character at Under the Radar. You might not know him for being an occasional guest co-host on a Chicago public access kids show in the mid-90s. What was the topic of this kids show?
It was like one of those Saturday morning, we read kids' stories, and then we do like a fun segment about the Chicago Zoo, the Lincoln Park Zoo, and I filled in a few times, and I remember wearing a bow tie. One of the perks, one of the benefits was that I got paid in Disney on Ice tickets. So I went up to a lot of Disney on Ice shows as a kid, and now I'm gay.
That's how it happens.
That's how it happens. Yes, ice skating.
That's how you make the gay.
When you go to see Pocahontas on ice and John Smith swings onto the ship from right next to you.
You're like, oh, what's that feeling? Oh, it's gay.
Just blonde locks through the air.
Did one of them
Sucker.
sort of hit you on the way?
Right here.
Right here.
Right here.
When I asked Fernando what he'd like to talk about today, he mentioned being told he does not fit the Latinx type and why all the stories for people of color seem to be struggle or hardship. So I thought we would take a look at some hardship you can face in the industry when you are Latinx.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I can't wait to find out.
Any gender of color, it seems, gets to face the drug epidemic.
SAG-AFTRA non-union African American and Hispanic men and women to portray junkies.
Even though the hotbed of American drug addiction is white suburbia.
Pinot Gris and a little pill. That's all you need.
That's the white feminist junkie.
Yeah.
Latina women in particular get to endure the trials and tribulations of life.
Yvette, street smart Latina, feisty, passionate, sexy, tough enough to stand her ground and fight, but vulnerable enough to wound easily. She's desperate for another life, the life she should have had.
God forbid a Latina woman weren't feisty.
Or sexy, or street smart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Listen, I know a lot of dumb Latinas. Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Street dumb.
Street dumb, but book smart.
But it's Latino men that have the truly rich, authentic stories, playing a variety of criminals. There are the drug lords.
Juan de la Castro, Latino. Wise guy, villain. De la Castro is a Mexican cartel leader. If it's illegal, he's probably got his hands on it.
Didn't you know, as Latino, you're just in general crime. That's what you're involved in.
Yeah, I did do a lot of LimeWire downloading in the early 2000s.
That's what they're going to get you for.
Yeah,
I should probably cut that out. This goes on YouTube. You're going to be found.
I live in Arkansas.
There are the gangsters.
Thug number one. This is a leading thug, you guys. Hispanic, gangster look, streetwise, needs to talk the talk and walk the walk. ¿Qué pasa? SC. Lots, L-O-T apostrophe S, of testosterone. Plenty of attitude. Gangster look.
What's that mean?
Okay, so I get that they assume that we all know what we mean, like jeans, I don't know, low jeans, bandanas, but I don't know, I think zoot suits.
Yeah.
I think gangsta. Lots of testosterone.
I wonder if they take blood tests to see how much testosterone you have.
Pablo. A parentheses, mule. Hispanic. Formerly a drug mule. Illegal immigrant. He may get intense about certain issues. What are those issues?
Well, security lines into the airport, maybe.
Yeah, privatizing Social Security.
Privatizing Social Security, the state of the environment in the United States.
Noise pollution. I mean, he was formerly a drug mule. Maybe he's settled down now and just wants a peaceful neighborhood.
Yeah, he just wants to relocate, have a quiet life without his ass packed with heroin. So we're joking about this, but ultimately, do you see a lot of this sort of crap for Latino performers?
If I had a nickel for every time that I've been asked to play a gangster, I would have enough money to pull myself out of poverty. Yeah, absolutely. It's gangster or drug dealer or young illegal immigrant, and I mean, I'm first generation. I've lived the immigrant story, and I'm very near and dear to it. But it's not just struggle and hardship, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes an immigrant story is like going to Walgreens and they don't have the body lotion that you want.
Well, that's hardship.
Yeah, yeah. Ashy elbows. It's real. I do much more than sell drugs.
Right. But you've mentioned that you even have been told that you can't fit this type, that you're not working into that archetype.
Well, I'm 5'5", and I sound decidedly Midwestern, and part of the struggle that I had growing up as someone whose parents were immigrants to this country was that I had, for a very long time, tried to distance myself from my heritage. And so I tried to assimilate as hard as I could. And that meant, for a while insisting on only speaking English and trying to excel in school so as to not be seen as stupid or underachieving or lazy. That meant that ultimately I ended up this tiny little meek thing. I denied myself something essential about who I am. When sometimes I go into an audition where I've been called in to play a gangster just because I look like this and have the name I do, and then show up in the room and they're like, but actually you look like you'd be selling papes and not, handing out eighths.
Selling
Papes over eighths. I'm in a no man's land.
Yeah.
And that really stings because it takes me back to being a kid and feeling not accepted by, the larger American culture, but at the same time not fitting in with my, Hispanic community. So it's incredibly defeating when you choose to put your heart and your time and your money into a career that is about transformation and about being able to channel any story, and then being told, this is the story you have to tell. These are the parts you can play. Our art is about freedom, and when you put people into a tiny corner that they can't back out of, then you're denying them and yourself 90% of what they can do and the stories that they can tell and different perspectives. And so it's ultimately worse, I think, for the artistic economy to continue to be saying, hey, we're going to be telling a story about Latinos. You just got over drugs and your mom is dying. When, plenty of people's stories about being Latino are either much more quotidian and we don't get to hear about them because they're stories that are assigned to white sitcoms, or are rich and dramatic but are stories and issues that we're not used to hearing about, like the first generation choosing to separate yourself from the culture that you're from. Sometimes we're boring.
Yeah, it's like, can we finally, as an industry, let people just be boring? People of color just be boring and have regular lives.
I want to be boring and dull and average for you.
Yeah,
That's
I love
all
that.
I want to do.
I love that. We're really boring. We've been sitting around eating cheese. There's nothing more boring than that. Actually, that's not true at all. Cheese is the best.
It's a pretty good life we're living.
Yeah, it's been a good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Take care of each other and be professional. Even though the hotbed of the fuck me.
We're on drugs now.